evening.
Good evening.
I'm going to take a breath and invite you all to take a breath with me. With whatever you've had in your day that you might be ready to let go of, I invite you to just breathe it out, and I'm going to do the same. And just settle a little bit more into this place. I want to say thank you out loud in front of everybody to Tripp for that introduction, although I will admit is a little bit intimidating. And I am grateful for the opportunity because, as you mentioned, we've been looking forward to this moment for a while, and I've been envisioning this night for, I don't know, 5 years maybe, which seems a little bit unreal. But it's true, and I think because we began this work with an idea and a dream in 2020, with a group of us standing at the corner of the Adams-Taylor house, taking a look at some construction plans that included like building more walls and concrete and I don't even know what, and we thought that can't be. We don't need to build more human things. We need to reconnect with the earth. And from that point in time on, this vision has become more and more a reality, unfolding ever so slowly. And so tonight marks a time, another part in time where like another petal of this flower is unfolding. And I'm so excited that you guys are here to celebrate this with me. And now I'll get on to what I wrote to tell you. So this evening, we're going to spend a little bit of time, probably longer than a sermon, talking about connecting with the earth and with the holy wild through green stormwater infrastructure. And you might think, what are you talking about? What is the holy wild? We'll talk about that at dinner. But what does God, what does the holy, what does earth have to do with green stormwater infrastructure? You'll hear more and more about that as the months unfold. Infrastructure and earth seem a little bit separate, but that's why we put the word green in front of it, because it reminds us that this is about the earth. Beginning in June and for the coming year, we are going to install several of these green stormwater infrastructure practices, GSI for short, all made possible by 2 grants from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. As I said, that began as a collective dream in 2020 and 2021 that we are going to see become reality now. But this work is more than just green stormwater infrastructure. And so this evening, I want to present you and give you time and space away from your busy day, away from your jobs, away from all your thoughts and things. They're here, but here now is an opportunity for you to connect with why green stormwater infrastructure is for us, the Richmond Hill community, more than rain barrels and native gardens, more than rooftop rainwater harvesting. There are lots of mouthful words and phrases in this field of work. It's more than permeable pavers and more than redoing our parking lot. This work is about us joining an ongoing and sacred conversation between earth and sky, between cloud and soil, between minerals and all beings. This great conversation is infused, as we often pray, with the presence and guiding spirit of the ground of all being, mother of life, father of the universe. This work is about us co-creating practices with members of our community that you'll meet in a little while, experts in the field of GSI, who together with the earth teach us how to work with our sibling rain, so that this ground beneath our feet, this land that holds our buildings, our gardens, and us when we're here, can welcome the water in, rather than miss it entirely. It's about disconnecting from systems built by humans to send rainwater away, often becoming someone else's or some other being's problem to deal with. So in a moment, I'll be inviting our partners up to share with you about the importance of their work, their why, who they are. You'll be meeting Nathan Burrell, Executive Director of Groundwork RVA. Kate is here, who works with them. You guys, I think many of you are familiar with the Groundwork folk who have been with us during the Gray Street Garden Plan, and those of you who've been here for a while might remember them from our first grant. You'll also meet Kathleen McNinch, landscape architect, and Ori LaFleche, who is here from VHB, which is the design and build firm that are our mentors and have been mentoring us through this entire process and working closely with Groundwork, designing and building, and then installing. We've invited them here to introduce who they are to those of you who've not met them, but primarily to hear their why, as I've just said. Why is it they do this work in the world, and why is it important to them? As you hear them, I invite you to be curious and perhaps hear connections between your whys of doing your work in the world and theirs. Nathan?
So thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting Groundwork RVA and our youth into your community, into your space. Yes, my name is Nathan Burrell. I'm the Executive Director of Groundwork RVA. Me, inconsequential. The work we do, though, is a purpose and progression. Purpose and progression. Our youth were the first here in Richmond to understand the impacts of the environmental change that's happening, not just here in Richmond, but it's happening all over the world. Our youth were the first to understand that heat was a real problem. Our youth were the first to really dig into this problem. And they found out that their communities here in Richmond are over 15 degrees hotter than other communities on the warmest days. They found out that their lifespans of their communities here in Richmond are 10 to 12 years less than other communities here in Richmond. Hold on to that for a minute. It's not a community that I want to live in. And I dare say it's a community that you all don't want to live in. And so how do we change this? For too long, we as humans have really saw ourselves as dominant, as we do whatever we want to the earth, can manipulate it any way we want. Yeah, we're just animals. An animal that can really change whole ecosystems, the whole way a space feels and functions. No other animal other than the beaver can really do this, right? Yet we've decided that we don't have to adhere to the laws of nature. The work that we do at Groundwork RVA rectifies that. Reconnects our communities to the earth. Puts communities that are disproportionately affected by this environmental change as the leaders, as the people that are most affected, wanting to see this change. We at Groundwork RVA give them the tools to do this. And by connecting with organizations like Richmond Hill, communities like Richmond Hill, they're able to not only realize the power that they have as youth, they see the world differently. They see the possibility. We're all jaded. We're older. We've seen too many things that have been tried, they failed. Oh, you're gonna try that again, and it's like, they're not jaded by that. They see the possibility. And so by you all inviting our youth into the space, helping them see the earth in a different way, understand how they can help heal the space, has been one of the most powerful things that can happen. And now, moving from an idea to reality, we're actually going to install this stuff. We're actually training people from these frontline and fence line communities how to be the change that they want to see in their community. And by working in spaces like this, they're able to realize it. So I can thank you all enough for not only again inviting us into this space, but allowing us to be integral into how we connect this space back to the earth. Green infrastructure is a big word, right? Really, all it means is, how do we work more in harmony with the earth? That's really what it means. How do we stop building so much hardscape and allow rain to be able to permeate again back into the earth? We built so much infrastructure that we've kind of forgotten how quickly it can be wiped out. A big rain, a flood, none of this stuff's here anymore. And so by developing this type of infrastructure, by reconnecting your community and your space back to the earth, gives you that much more of a chance, because Mother Nature is going to reach equilibrium. And so the more that we can work in balance and in coordination, the longer we as humans actually have. But the importance, again, of youth driving this work can't be understated. They're the future. They're the ones we're providing these skills to. And they're the ones that are learning from you all how to be good stewards. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Nathan. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that I can top that. That was beautiful. I'm Kathleen McNish. I am a landscape architect with VHB. And VHB is a multidisciplinary firm. We do engineering, landscape architecture, coastal resiliency, environmental studies. We do a lot of different things. And we do this in an effort to help give back to the land that humans are impacting. And I would say that that is a huge why of how we've crossed paths here with Richmond Hill folks, is we see how much this space means to you all, and we want to make sure that the work that we are designing and implementing give back that space to you, gives water back to the earth in a sustainable way, and it's not reaching downstream, impacting other people. And we hear you that is a fundamental part of who you are, is to take ownership of that and to connect with the earth that you stand on. So I would say that that is a part of VHB's why, as why we're doing this work with you all. And we're so happy to be a part of it. My personal why as to why I got into landscape architecture is I really love the intersection of art and science. I love that I get to be a designer, but I get to use techniques and implementation tactics that are science-backed, that help relieve the stressors that the humans cause on the earth. So it's a fine balance, right, of what we need as people to function in our society, but also what the earth needs. So it's a daily effort to try to strive to find that balance. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about my why.
Hey y'all, I'm Ori. So a little bit about myself is I'm from Southeast Louisiana. I studied civil engineering at LSU, and I moved to Virginia back in 2022. I started working at VHB doing stormwater design, and I moved to Richmond 2 years ago, falling in love with the city, its culture, and its community. It's my pleasure to be the stormwater design engineer for the improvements at Richmond Hill. Where I grew up, stormwater is a big issue. Rising sea levels, land subsidence, and shoreline erosion affect southern Louisiana every year. So my interest in stormwater management grew from my love of my community, and I brought that love to Richmond. I believe that effective and reliable infrastructure is vital to the health and well-being of a community, and I believe this project at Richmond Hill is important for the health and well-being of this community. So we have a great team here, and I look forward to being part of it. Thank you for welcoming us and letting us be part of your community.
Thank you.
I'm so excited that you guys got to meet them, and they will be at dinner later tonight, and we can share and more conversation about the places where we have connection and maybe what you might be interested to hear more about. I mentioned a little bit ago that it feels a little intimidating to share the vision, and I just, in a little back of the brain moment, had been thinking also, like, if it's not intimidating, it's probably not a proper vision, right? You know that you're on the right path when it feels a little bit scary, but not so scary that you can't take the next step. And so I am deeply grateful to do that within this community of people who also believe very much in this project, people who dedicate hours and hours in the garden. Allison and I out there every week, looking at Wendell here, just moving forward the work that has always been here at Richmond Hill. We can tell this garden has been tended and cared for so lovingly by so many people. But I think bringing her center and more forward, and one of maybe a named member of this community, is a little bit about this work that we're bringing forward. I firmly believe in my bones and in the deepest part of my heart that we as humans are meant to be only one part of the sacred, ongoing conversation between spirit and all beings. I think you've heard that from all of these folks, which is really cool. These all beings that I speak about are our kin. We are nature. We talk about being out in nature, and of course we're out in nature because we are nature. This conversation, however, is a bit of a mystery. A lot of times you might think, well, how do I begin to be in conversation with all beings out there in the garden? I will say to Richmond Hill as a community, you guys know, I think, what I'm talking about. It is guided also by mystery. Mystery knows the way. But a few technical things. How do we begin? We begin by getting out of the way. We begin by looking to our kin of nature, as I've said, by remembering that we are also nature. We begin by listening to these kin of ours. But how do we listen if they are not present? And how are they to be present if they have not yet been welcome? I think about this with water. Our primary thing has been, we've got a few rain barrels, and that's kind of nice, but mostly we're sending the water away. It's going down the hillside into Taylor Hills Park, it's going out into Gray Street, into stormwater drains that go into our combined sewage system that, you know, you hear the warnings. When that overflows, it all goes into the James River. How can we listen to water and begin that process unless water is welcome here? This is the big step we're about to take. The work we're about to embark upon is this. Together with our partners, we will build solutions that don't only serve us humans, but solutions that consider the land and the waters and their needs. It will put us back into flowing conversation with water, widening the doorway to our participation in the great conversation with spirit and all beings. In that, there will be some disruption, and there will also be healing. So here's your invitation. I invite you all to remember these whys all the ones that you've heard tonight, and begin to think about and articulate what your own why for connecting with the earth and joining the sacred ongoing conversation of spirit, all beings, and all beings is. What would your why be? I'm pretty sure, I'm safe to say, that all of you enjoy being out in the garden, at least for a little while. You might not enjoy all parts of it. You might prefer to have your shoes on, but you enjoy it out there. And I wonder if you might begin to consider these beautiful articulations of whys that you've heard tonight and begin to think of your own. And then when the disruptive practices are being installed, remember these whys, touch back to your own whys, because that will make it easier to park 2 blocks from here because our parking lot is closed. That's the bottom line. I also think that there are more connections with this work and your own particular work than you might know right now. And so the invitation is here for you to consider, how does connecting with the earth, how does being in conversation with water connect with the work that I'm doing in the world? May it be so.